You have to be to side with the Geth. Hey, Ashley.
Commander?
You want to talk for a minute?
Do you have a few minutes to talk? One-on-one?
I'm off duty until tomorrow. I was gonna have a small drink. Bit of a celebration. If you're interested.
Yeah, sure. We're not opposed to a little alcohol.
With all we've been through lately? Hell yes.
I only have enough to toast the day, not the captain. It's Armistice Day, when the first contact war ended. My family always marks it. Since I'm the only Williams aboard, I thought I'd ask you.
Flattered, but why are you asking?
Seems like an odd thing to celebrate. That was 26 years ago.
In our family, it's not really a celebration, more like an obligation. Don't tell me you don't know about my family. My commanders always find out. It's not in my files or something?
No.
There's almost nothing in your files. Technical scores and a list of crap assignments.
There's a reason for the crap assignments. I'm General Williams' granddaughter, the commander of the Shanxi garrison in the war. The only human ever to surrender to an alien race.
I see.
I see. That's why you drive yourself so hard.
A Williams has to be better than the best, if only to avoid suspicion. That's what my dad told me the night before he retired. Takes a special kind of thick-headed to march into a job where your family's blacklisted. I did it anyway. I'm not gonna let our name go down with Arnold and Quisling. Granddad deserved better than that.
Well, I only know half of that, to be honest. Can someone please tell me who the heck Quisling is? I know she's talking about Benedict Arnold from the American Revolution with that first reference. But I have no idea who Quisling is. But yeah.
What happened to your grandfather after the war?
He was relieved of command as soon as Shanxi was liberated. They brought him back to Earth in irons, but there was never a trial. They quietly demoted him and stuck him behind a desk. He retired a year later and spent the rest of his life working construction in the colonies. Sometimes we hear about attempts to get him exonerated in some official way. Nothing ever comes of them.
Right, and tell me about Shanxi and all that. Don't know what's gonna end up being said by that, I'm afraid.
As I recall, your grandfather held out for a long time.
The Turians wrecked the orbitals in the first wave and occupied the major cities. They sat in orbit, dropping rocks on anything that moved. Granddad dispersed the troops, but when they went into the cities for supplies, the Turians would wreck a block to eliminate one fire team.
Yeah, that sounds
Civilians
more
were
than
dying.
a little
His troops were
extreme.
starving, and he couldn't contact Alliance High Command. So he surrendered the garrison.
Yeah, honestly, most people probably would have done. 'Cause think about it. There wouldn't have been a major war any human had participated in decades, if not centuries by that point. Yeah, unless there was a World War III in the Mass Effect timeline, and I don't think there would have been, then there wouldn't have been any major war any human had participated in for roughly 200 to 250 years. So, can you really blame him?
He refused to sacrifice his men just to save face for humanity. You planning to throw yourself on a sword to save face for him?
Would it make a difference? He's gone now. Dad's gone too. And who would it impress? I'll never be good enough for the Alliance. So now you know.
Then they're a bunch of
kick me off the ship,
stupid,
Skipper?
useless assholes. And no, we need you. Plus, I like you, Ash. You should know that by now, what with how much time I spend down here.
Valuable part of my crew, Williams. If I want an opinion from the head, I go to Alenko. When I want one from the heart, I go to you.
I also play a mean game.
I love
But
that
anyway,
answer.
I've got things to do before we land. I'm sure you do too.
Okay, see ya.
Dismissed, Chief.
Ma'am.
Yeah, that's one of the major reasons that I just don't agree with the whole Ashley is a racist argument that you hear so often. Ashley is not a racist. She's a person from a unfortunate background that is rather understandably cautious of aliens because of what first contact meant for her family. And let's be honest, anyone in that kind of situation would react the way she has. And just listen to her conversations with Tally. She and Tally get along great. It's Liara she has the problem with, and on the ship, and Garrus. It's Liara, Garrus, and Rex she has the problem with. And for a damn good reason, honestly. Like, let's go through it. Liara's mother, Matriarch Benezia, was Saren's second-in-command. Her mother was working with the enemy. I'd say that's a damn good reason to mistrust somebody. Garrus is a Turian. His people's attack on Shanxi is what led directly to her family being blacklisted. Who can really blame her for being cross with them? And Rex, he's a Krogan. They're pretty known for being violent, aggressive, unpredictable, sadistic, and just straight up dicks to pretty much everybody, and who don't play well with others. Everyone is cautious around the Krogan, even other Krogan. That's the one you can blame her the least for. Because I'm pretty damn sure even Shepard would be cautious around Krogan when... She was probably cautious around Rex when they first met. So Ashley's reaction to the aliens on your crew being racism is just straight up bullshit in my opinion. And that's why I think that. Sorry for the extensive rant, but I've been wanting to say that for a very long time, but I was just waiting for an appropriate situation to come up where I could talk about it. Now I'm going to read a couple of codex entries before we end this recording. The Turian government is a hierarchical meritocracy. While it has great potential for misuse, this is tempered by the civic duty and personal responsibility Turians learn in childhood. Turians have 27 citizenship tiers, beginning with civilians, client races, and children. The initial period of military service is the second tier. Formal citizenship is conferred at the third tier after boot camp. For client races, citizenship is granted after the individual musters out. Higher-ranked citizens are expected to lead and protect subordinates. Lower-ranked citizens are expected to obey and support superiors. Promotion to another tier of citizenship is based on the personal assessments of one's superiors and co-rankers. Throughout their lives, Turians ascend to higher tiers and are occasionally demoted to lower ones. The stigma associated with demotion lies not on the individual, but on those who promoted him when he wasn't ready for additional responsibility. This curbs the tendency to promote individuals into positions beyond their capabilities. Settling into a role and rank is not considered stagnation. Turians value knowing one's own limitations more than being ambitious. At the top are the Primarchs, who each rule a colonization cluster. The Primarchs vote on matters of national import. They otherwise maintain a hands-off policy, trusting the citizens on each level below them to do their jobs competently. Turians enjoy broad freedoms, so long as one completes his duties and does not prevent others from completing theirs, nothing is forbidden. For example, there are no laws against recreational drug use, but if someone is unable to complete his duties due to drug use, his superiors step in. Judicial proceedings are interventions. Peers express their concerns and try to convince the offender to change. If rehabilitation fails, Turians have no qualms about sentencing dangerous individuals to life at hard labor for the state. Ships and vehicles. And we have just the one. Space combat, planetary assaults. Planetary assaults are complicated if the target is a habitable garden world. The attackers cannot approach the defenders straight on. The Citadel Conventions prohibit the use of large kinetic impactors against habitable worlds. In a straight-on attack, any misses plow into the planet behind the defending fleet. If the defenders position themselves between the attackers and the planet, they can fire at will, while the attackers risk hitting the planet. Successful assaults on garden worlds hinge upon up-to-date intelligence. Attackers need to determine where the enemy's defenses are so they may approach from an angle that allows them to fire with no danger of collateral damage. Note, this is not necessary for hostile worlds. Once control of orbit has been lost, defensive garrisons disperse into the wilderness. An enemy with orbital superiority can bombard surface forces with impunity. The best option for defenders is to hide and collect reconnaissance in anticipation of relief forces. Given the size of a planet, it is impractical to garrison entire conquered worlds. Fortunately, colonization efforts tend to focus on building up a dozen or fewer areas, and ground forces occupy the spaceports, industrial facilities, and major population centers. The wilderness is patrolled by unmanned aerial vehicles and satellite reconnaissance. If a defender unit is spotted, air mobile rapid deployment units and satellite artillery are used to pin down and destroy them. Okay, so that's kind of interesting. And I'm going to save the game. So I'm going to I think I'm gonna call it quits for this recording here. This has been DarkPhoenix Ninja 92, and you've been watching Let's Play Mass Effect. Thank you so much for watching, and if you've enjoyed this video, then please leave a like or comment down below, or comment if you have some ideas on how I can improve, and if you're feeling particularly generous, then subscribe. It really is quite handy for me, and thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next time.